social distancing at the Chamber, Tuesday night edition for Happy Hour with Hammer, as always. Joined by the CEO of the Arizona Chamber, Glenn Hammer. My name is Garrick Taylor. Glenn, great to have you on the show again.
Great to be on the show. It's my last stop before Chompies.
I know. You have places to go. All
Heading
right.
back to the deli.
You're going for dine-in, right?
Dine in. Pastrami or corned beef. These are the choices. As a native New Yorker, these are the choices.
Wow.
I'm out of practice.
Yesterday's edition, nice conversation with Pastor Warren Stewart, AP Powell, about current events which ripple through not only this community, but all across America. You cannot turn on a computer screen or a TV without knowing what's going on. So just wanted to give you a minute to reflect on yesterday's conversation.
It was really very special, and we appreciate a great friend of the Chamber, AP Powell, great leader, veteran, a leader and nationally recognized entrepreneur and African-American leader. He helped arrange this call with Pastor Stewart, and Warren Stewart is the man who really made the Martin Luther King Day Jr. holiday happen in Arizona. He's the one that persevered and created a dynamic where the voters of Arizona passed the holiday that we all celebrate every year. So, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was, finish your thought and I'll throw one at you.
No, please.
Well, I was just encouraged that not only by the tone and tenor of the conversation, but something that Warren Stewart let us know is that he is not just a faith leader, community leader, but he's in regular contact with elected and appointed leadership of this community, including Police Chief Jerry Williams. And that's a good bit of information that people who need information and access can get it.
Well, that was really an important part of the conversation, that since I believe he's been at the church since 1977, and
Right.
Since that time, he's been in communication with the leaders. So this is someone that is part of the heart and soul of the state and has been even recognized as a living legend. But I thought that the section about Police Chief Williams is very important. She's done an outstanding job dealing with the different elements of the death of George Floyd. She understands. She's an African American police chief who is highly vested in this community. Grew up here. I'm just a guy from New York. She grew up. She knows the city. She knows the state, and she's done a marvelous job of making sure that the people who peacefully protesting the grave injustice, the murder of Mr. Floyd, can do so safely. She's also making sure that innocent people and are not harmed, and that businesses and property not harmed. I mean, the First Amendment rights are extraordinarily important. We want them protected. We also need to make sure that people are protected. And thus far, Police Chief Williams has been a model for the state and for the nation.
I wanted to give you a chance to comment on Phil Boaz's column in today's Republic and Coach Williams's open letter as well.
Geez, I wish I had some of Phil Boaz's comment, because it was as thoughtful a column that's been written on all the different events surrounding the situation. But I believe that the punchline is that yes, there are injustices, and we need to all work towards those, but we need to do so fully. That's you don't want to ever get away from that point. That's how we change things effectively. And again, I think just Americans that's ever lived, and Martin Luther King Jr. and the change that was made peacefully, and we have to make changes. We acknowledge that, and we want to be part of the solution. But I thought that Phil's column was right on the identified. I also appreciated that he identified Mayor Bottoms in Atlanta, who's just done a spectacular job of articulating the balancing act that's going on, and that you don't honor those who have suffered and died by up a sitting. You do it by peacefully protesting. And again, I want to say that, we have a lot of brave men and women who are working to keep us safe. And I'll just, and I'll also say that Coach Williams of the Suns, first of all, I'll tell you, as a fan, it's done on the floor. I can't help but say that, because I love the Suns, and I need to get to a Major League sporting event very, very soon. I really appreciate how Coach Williams put it. It was just really a beautifully written piece, and he's using, his position to really that would happen in Minneapolis was disgraceful. That should never happen in America. It's not a nice. We need to all work together so that all Americans feel comfortable. And as Pastor Stewart said, it's not just equality, it's equity. But we need to do it together. Yeah. And that was sort of the if I had to say what was sort of the theme of Phil Boas' column and Monty Williams' column, it was let's work together. Different perspectives. Sure. But I thought there was some commonality there.
Issue 2, same as the first, comments today on our weekly check-in with Senator Sinema. She spent a few minutes talking about what's going on as well. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, her comments on the unrest this country is feeling, I thought were right on the mark. She also, I think the term that Phil Boas used was thread the needle. We've got to thread the needle here. We've got to make sure that we wreck at this conversation because of the murder of George Floyd. But we have to make sure that that as work to improve our system, we do so peacefully. So I thought she handled that very, very eloquently and well. And then, she did. We've been holding these weekly calls with her to really go over what we could do to get to the other side safely and with as strong a economy as possible. The global pandemic, that has killed over 100,000 Americans, now almost 1,000 Arizonans, and that part of the call was very, very productive. She's put a ton of time in making improvements to the program, the EIDL loans, that's the emergency loan program that the SBA administers, as well as the marketplace, the mainstream marketplace, as well as finding good ways to get personal protective equipment out and turning her office basically into a mass unit for all the different problems that constituents may face, whether it's unemployment checks or stimulus checks or some of the challenges that we faced on the small business loans. So that I thought was really important as well.
More than a dozen new hires she's brought in just to deal with the onslaught of constituent inquiries on, let's face it, navigating the stuff. It's complicated.
Well, it is, and as a former Senate staffer from many moons ago, I can say that she runs a great office, and I'll also say that Senator McSally has a great job. She's been all over the different elements of them as well. And just as just to segue a little bit as a plug, I did over the weekend. I ordered an advance copy of Dare to Fly. Here's a spoiler alert, completely apolitical. It is such an inspirational book. It's one of those books I couldn't put it down over a weekend, and I don't care, Republican, Democrat, wherever, independent, wherever you are on the political side, it's not a political book. You will find it.
Well, you read Senator McSally's book over the weekend. I read Sammy Hagar's memoir in one sitting, so I've got that going for me.
Love Van Halen. He's a good for David Lee Roth. Is that correct? Or no, was he before? Which
Oh
Am I
my
wrong on
gosh.
that?
Glenn, are you losing your mind? Hagar came after.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Um, all right. The pandemic has forced us to face all sorts of new challenges, including an uptick in cybercrime. We've heard about this from Attorney General Mark Brnovich, who the Chamber today convened a webinar on this with representatives from the governor's office, Acronis SCS, Microsoft, Pima Community College. Glenn, this was really good conversation we had.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I learned that Tim Rober from the governor's office did a spectacular job. I mean, he has been a great source throughout this pandemic of making sure that the state's secure. But Tim was very generous with his comments and gave all of the users of the business community and just as individuals great tips for hygiene. You know, change your passwords, do the updates, because these updates have security patches that will help. From our friends at Pima Community College and Acronis, the training that they're doing is fantastic. I mean, these are high demand jobs that it's lost a lot of jobs temporarily. These are hot and very, very important, and both are doing great. And the demand, Microsoft Teams it's a great product. What we learned there is that because of all this remote office, that the demand has surged. And we also learned some very good tips. And I want to thank Laura Sisk from our shop. She really did a great job putting together the programming. And it's one of those things that we have on tape, and I'm going to watch it again because I was taking a lot of, it's worth a watch.
A shameless plug here for chamberbusinessnews.com. They did a story last week about our friends at Acronis SCS, and you heard it on today's webinar. If you're a military veteran, they want to talk to you about getting you schooled up to take on cyber criminals. And there is a real demand out there. And if you're looking for the training and you're a military veteran, they want to talk to you.
Well, important that we have. I mean, there are certain jobs, and anything in the cyber area is going to be just get hotter and hotter. So kudos to them. I mean, when you think about I think it was about a year or so ago, where I've come from New York and we had snow days. I think we had a few districts, that being one, that had to shut down for a few days.
That's right. Because
it wasn't snow; it was they were attacked. And this is really an important issue, and I for his great service. And and I also wanted to say that our Governor Doug Ducey, has handled two difficult situations very well. You take a look at the global pandemic. Our economy is coming back strong, and it has a lot to do how the governor's handled this while keeping us safe. And then I think about the social unrest. This is as decent as people get. He understands the incredible tragedy that happened with Mr. Floyd, but he also understands for people that we need to make sure that this state is safe. When you take a look at the curfew and all the things that he's done to bring the different communities in Arizona together, so people can peacefully protest and businesses and people can go about their lives safely. It's been a model, and even we learned today that other cities like New York City are going more toward and do the best we can to be part of the solution.
That's right. Glenn, as always, a good conversation. There is a pastrami and marble rye with your name on it somewhere right now.
I'll update viewers about the experience tomorrow. But thanks,
yeah, we
Garrick.
should. We want to know what dining is like these days.
It's been a while.
All right, thanks for doing this. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Garrick.